Good evening, everyone. This is the City of Dania Beach CRA meeting on March the 11th. It is 6 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Davis.
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino.
Here.
Board Member Llewellyn.
Here.
Board Member Romoli.
Here.
Board Member Ryan.
Here.
Executive Director Chen.
Here.
City Attorney Bootsas. Here. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, City Clerk. Next item is citizens' comments. I see that we have two here. And up first, we have Miss Linda Wilson from Friends of the Library. Would you please come up and state your name and your address for the record, please?
Linda Wilson, 1547 Adams Street, Hollywood, but I am president of the Friends of the Library and representing my affiliation with this particular item, and that is, as it related to the CRA, what is the effect on the state CRA status once it becomes a department of the city? That's question one. Question two is, what happens with the existing CRA commitments? Are they all to be assumed by the city under the CRA department? Three, how does this affect the CRA-owned properties? Do they then be transferred to the city as city-owned properties? And last, the effect of the Patch Community Garden, and how is it going to affect that housing authority population that is surrounding that garden and the community in general, and the affordability of their ability to purchase fresh produce? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I will have that item for discussion and hope that we can address some of your comments if Mr. Chen would like to answer some of them now, or we can discuss it under the item. We did not have a thorough discussion of the details of how the department, it was my understanding that it would just become a department under the city manager's office, but I believe that your questions deserve some answers and discussion during that item when we have that. Thank you. Next, we have Cheryl Robinson. If you would please state your name and address for the record, please.
All right, my name is Cheryl Robinson. How you guys doing? This is my first time ever coming to the Dania City Hall. I've been trying to get here, but I've been going to Hollandale, West Park, and I've been going to another city. I'm missing one, but I've been trying to get here because I'm born and raised from Hollywood, Florida. Before the Dania, I went at Bethune Elementary. I went to Addicts. I was very popular coming up into music and things like that. So I started to get older and really understand what's going on, like with the property, the buildings, things like that, the low income. And I'm noticing a lot of us that was born and raised there, we have nothing to have in there. A lot of the properties are being donated, discounted rates. Businesses are going with, I'm not here to hate, but I just understand what's going on now. So I'm here to try to save some of the property for the natives. These last couple of properties that you guys have, I know I can get a general contracting team going. I know I can get something going, and I'm not here to try to persuade anything. I'm here to try to get what's deserving to us as natives. We need something to be able to empower us, to bring revenue to us, for we can be great in our community. I'm not here to hate on progress. I love the progress. Y'all got it looking so good. Sometimes I don't even recognize I be going wrong. So I'm not here to hate. A lot of people don't like change. I love change, but I want to be a part of the change, okay? We want to be able to be in our community. It's a lot of violence. There's a lot of things happen because we get outside of our dear restrictions. We get outside of our comfort homes, our comfort zones, you feel me? So I'm here to speak for my generation. I'm never caring about race. I'm never caring about none of them. I'm caring about real progress, love, unity. So I'm just here to give you guys an open mind, to let you know we are starving, we are homeless, we are jobless, and a lot of us, we made mistakes in our life. I'm an ex-con myself, but since I've been home, I go so hard for my community. I go hard for my youth. And I feel like we should have a chance to be a part of our community because this is where we from. This is all we know. So I'm here, and I love to be a part of my community. I love to bring an idea for these properties. I love to get involved and get some more people involved. A lot of them are afraid. A lot of people don't have the bravery. A lot of the people, they don't have the thought to step out of the confidence box. At the end of the day, y'all, I'm a gangster. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a saint. I'm a person that's working on myself, and God's working through me. So I let him use me. He tells me to come, and I do what he tells me to do. So I'm just here to give the people a voice, the ones that's afraid to get a voice, the ones that gave up on life, the ones that's depressed. A lot of us, we ruin ourselves, and I'm here to admit that. But we don't need to be punished so long. Why we got to keep on? Yo, we trying to be great. We trying to be a part. Some of us very valuable too. I'm very valuable, and I love to be used in my city.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. I really appreciate your passion, and I appreciate your bravery in coming to speak your voice at the CRA meeting this evening. I do believe that we are going to have an in-depth discussion of all of the CRA properties. I believe it's March 13th. What time is 5 o'clock p.m., 5:30?
I'll definitely be here if I can.
And,
No
and
problem.
we would welcome your ideas. I believe that, we are all a community and you are part of our community, and having your voice heard and your ideas, we can't make any promises, but we can promise to listen and have your ideas heard.
I
So
appreciate
I really
that.
appreciate you coming out here today and expressing yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you guys too for the opportunity. Y'all look good up there too now.
And I appreciate the humor on a Tuesday evening. All right, next up, we have our administrative reports. Director Chin. Oh, yes. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Board Member Llewellyn.
It didn't work.
No? Oh, no. Oh, I have the.
Somebody else's?
Okay.
Thank you.
Board Member Llewellyn.
Thank you. I appreciate you just taking me out of turn for a moment. I just want to ask, because I know last week we had some extended presentations and we ran out of time basically to thoroughly discuss what we need to discuss tonight as well. So I want to make sure that when we're doing the presentations now for the administrative report, that we are not having a protracted discussion and we just kind of keep it to the high points so that we're not going on and not having enough time at the end of the meeting to discuss the rest of the business. So if that's okay with everybody?
I mean, the Director Chin, you have your report prepared. He shortened the meeting from 5:30 to 6
Exactly.
o'clock. So
And
I would hope that we have enough time to discuss what we need to discuss and allow Director Chin to do his report. But that is on
Agreed.
it was on the consent agenda, which I had issue the fact that it was on the consent agenda, not an item for discussion. So that is something that I want to discuss because we do have people who have come to hear about it, and we did not have enough time. So
I just want to make sure, and again, I apologize, but I just want to make sure because, again, it was shortened to 6 o'clock, which tells me that Mr. Chen thinks that we can get through all of these items so that we also have a little time for a break before the commission meeting. And if that is not the case, I actually objected to moving this to 6 o'clock because we didn't have the agenda yet. But, if we're moving it to 6, then that tells me that we can get done quickly and we can efficiently and we can move on to the items that need to be discussed. So thank you.
all right, Director Chin.
Okay, first of all, I had presented the items on the agenda and asked if there was a preference for starting at 5:30 or 6. So it wasn't necessarily a recommendation and it wasn't in the blind.
You can go ahead with your
I'll try
report.
to be quickly with the admin report. Basically, I want to bring your attention to, we actually called on the Nova Southeastern University Guy Harvey Oceanographic Research Center. I will tell you, in case you don't realize it, that center does not reside in Dania Beach, but you have to come through Dania Beach to get there. It's actually a very interesting research center. They do global monitoring, and they are out there trying to find ways to protect our reefs. And I thought that our CRA staff would do well to understand what's going on in our backyard. I actually had an ulterior motive for being there, and I set up the tour of that facility through the Guy Harvey Foundation. And the Guy Harvey Foundation is there. They're partners with NOVA for that facility. They have offices there, and a lot of his art is displayed in the center. I wanted to talk with them so I could open discussions to see if there might be a potential to discuss a Guy Harvey public art piece for our downtown. This are the ideas in concert with the streetscape project, the downtown vision plan that we have discussed. An element of that when it comes to you, in front of Frontier Park, which is 100 block north of West First Avenue, that park is planned to have a backdrop wall that separates the park element from the firehouse. That wall is approximately 95 feet long and 6 feet high, and it strikes me that would be an ideal place to see if we could get a piece of public art on the wall. And Guy Harvey does murals. So part of my objective in actually setting up this tour was to initiate discussions with the foundation to see how Guy Harvey might be willing to talk with us about a public art feature. I can tell you since that tour happened, I've had at least 2, if not 3, follow-up conversations with the Guy Harvey Foundation, and they are exploring what his attitude would be to work with us. I do expect that on a market rate price, we probably would not be able to afford his public art, but he does have the reputation of having a philanthropic view toward emerging cities and art districts. So that was the Guy Harvey NOVA tour.
Okay.
We also met with the casino at
Are
Dania
you seeking
Beach.
feedback on that now, or you want to wait?
If you'd like to have any comments, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Well, I just think we know the name, everybody should know the name Guy Harvey in South Florida. He's all over the airport and different things like that. So, are you seeking consensus to continue those conversations and see what we'd want to do? Because
I think that's a good idea. I would certainly like direction on what your opinions and feelings would be on this. I did not mention, I hadn't thought about someone not recognizing the Guy Harvey name. He is actually a marine research scientist who also turned artist. Basically, you can go in almost any shop in Florida and find Guy Harvey T-shirts and artworks. He does a lot of marine life. He also have a second piece of botany, and he also does birds. But he is a world-renowned artist, and he does everything from small etchings and prints and T-shirts to giant public murals.
Well, thank you, Director Chin. It's something that it would be, I think, a big coup for the city of Dania Beach to look into something like that. I certainly would be in support of it, and I'm not sure if the board would be interested in just having Mr. Chin to continue those conversations and bring something back from the Guy Harvey Foundation. Do we have consensus on yes, two? All right. Board Member Romoli.
Yeah, sure. But does so the discussions would be what are the discussions that we would have, Director, going forward? Is well, maybe I need to ask the process about the art committee that we have. Do they get involved?
Any public
that?
art would have to go through the Public Art Board for approval, but I mean, to be able to bring the opportunity to the Public Art Board and then have that come back as a recommendation.
So it would go to the Public Art Board, not really discussions here first.
Well, I mean, if he's going to bring the opportunity to us, then we could then go refer that to the Art Board, and then the Art Board would come back and finalize something.
I mean, sure. Yeah.
All right, so we have consensus for you to just go ahead and continue those conversations and bring something back. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The second piece item I want to bring up to you is There's also going to be a follow-up because this was also considered a Bravo visit. But your business manager and I met with the Arnado uh, at the CEO of the casino, and Josh Crowder, who is the director of marketing. Part of it was to introduce our business manager to the casino, who's a very important business to us. I've actually quantified their impact on the city. They're the second largest private landowner, and they pay the third highest property taxes in the CRA. So they're a significant business, and I expect I didn't have to describe that to you. While we were there, we just posed a question as an economic development meeting. What does this casino need? Is there anything we could be doing to help them? And their answer was that they would very much like to increase the volume of their customers. And we explored with them what kind of marketing and what kind of outreach they're doing now that's effective for them, what's not working for them. And one of the things we came across was the idea that they actually need an introduction to our hotels. They have, when we asked them about their outreach to the hotels, they've had a kind of a hit and miss program. They've talked to 2 or 3 of the hotels. They've had nothing formal in a discussion with them. So basically, I suggested that we could help them by setting up and doing outreach for them to bring the hotels to them. And in turn, what they would do is they would set up an event to introduce themselves to the hotel owners or the general managers and the staff of the hotels, so that they could actually make sure that the hotel staff understands the entertainment value that is here in their backyard in the casino. And again, this is probably something I need your approval on, because we're not talking about just the hotels in the CRA. We're talking about the hotels across the city. That is an outreach program. There's nothing that be prohibited in terms of a CRA, because we're not expending any resources or money outside of the CRA. We're simply doing an outreach program that goes beyond our borders for the benefit of one of our biggest businesses.
Do we have any discussion from the board on that? I have no problem with him continuing those conversations with the casino. Do we have consensus? Or does he, hold on, Chair, let me see. Can't get out. Board Member Ryan.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, Director Chen, so you want to reach out to all hotels regarding Dania Casino and see what some type of partnership they could develop or marketing?
Well, the way it worked out is that the casino said if we can get a group of the hoteliers together, they would host an event for them that would introduce the shows, the restaurant venues, and the entertainment values that the casino could provide to their guests.
So our objective is to get a group of hoteliers together, and
That's
it doesn't have to be just for the casino too, it could be for other businesses.
Well, yes. I mean, the objective is that we get this group together in the casino. It is a CRA. It would be a CRA initiative to do this outreach and collaboration with the casino to try to work for their benefit.
Okay. Yeah, obviously hotels have their own marketing plans and strategies, but us putting a group together if they're interested in it, then yeah, I'm for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ryan. Board Member Llewellyn.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not doing their marketing for them. I mean, that's part of what they do themselves as a business, is they should be doing some marketing. If we're just putting people together and acting sort of as a concierge, that's a little different. But we do also have our own marketing team for the city that I think might be able to get involved some.
I will finish my section of the report by giving you a brief update on the patch. Just to remind you, we have what we've described as a harvest celebration celebrating the new raised beds on March 31 at 5 o'clock. And basically, this is to replace the 2 events when we were trying to do a grand opening celebrating the construction end. We got weathered out in both of those events. This is the replacement. We didn't wait to plant stuff, so now we're celebrating the harvest instead of just the construction.
Thank you, Director Chin. I'm just going to interject a little bit right here because I know you've been trying to do this event for 2 times now, and this is the third one, so I hope we can accommodate. But I just want to start to move away from having events right before the CRA, right before the commission meeting, because it just becomes a lot. And, at least for me, to go back to back to back from events to CRA to commission meetings. So please just bear that in mind. I don't know if that will be you going forward, but I just want to put that out on the record. So I will accommodate because I know that you trying for 2 times for that, but I want to make that clear. Thank you.
I will observe that your sentiment on that. I will tell you, I always go to your chief of staff, Maxine, to let her make suggestions for times. We never start with our own time. I try to
I've
find
told
out
Maxine as
what she
well.
views
So
as open on your calendar.
thank you.
Okay. Also, the Fresh Food Box program, which has been kind of building over time, we are finally up to where we now have 30 subscription buyers of those food boxes every week. Uh, I think last year we had 7. To give you an idea, the patch is finally getting some public awareness and interaction, and people are taking advantage of it. And I mentioned to you in the last meeting, we have 20 community plots. All 20 of those community plots are now leased out as well. And then finally, Love Our Nation has negotiated a sleepaway camp experience for 20 of our local kids. We have helped them market this out by putting this an ad in the Dania Beach Press to get our kids out there and have them have the opportunity for a week's camp. This is done through the Elks, Florida Elks Youth Camp in Umatilla, Florida. And I think it would be a great opportunity. It's all free of cost to our kids. So just to let you know, these are things that we're working with our partners to try to benefit our neighborhoods.
And what is DB Can? Is that an official 501c3 or what is that?
I'm sorry, it's,
DB Can?
oh, that is how Love Our Nation is branding the program.
Oh, okay.
Dania Beach Camp.
Okay. I had never heard it before, so.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't our designation. It was their way to try to do this.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we vet this a little bit more because we're dealing with kids and over, a summer camp, and I didn't know about it. So let's just talk with them to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's crossed because we don't want anything to happen to our kids.
Okay. Well, and just to give you a little bit more detail about this is a relationship between Love Our Nation and the Florida Elks. And the Florida Elks will be providing the transportation for the kids to get to the camp as well. And they run a series, I think they run 7 weeks of programs at their camps for kids around the state of Florida. So I did check out the camp, and that's where the source is.
Thank you.
Now, with that, if there's no other questions, I'd like to let our business manager describe her Bravo visits.
Thank you, Miss Crystal.
Yeah. All right. Good afternoon, Chair, board members. I am just going. It's really challenging without a mouse, but I'm gonna do my best. Give me 1 second. All right. So let me just go ahead and get started. All right, so on February 12, 2025, we had a business, Skis, Trees and Vape Smoke Shop. They had their official ribbon cutting. They've actually been open for quite a while, but that was their first official opening that they had. And myself and Commissioner Ramoli was there for the ribbon cutting, along with members of the chamber. So we were there to wish them well and welcome them to Dania Beach. Sorry, guys. I came to rehearse this earlier, but it was not working. I just got the okay.
that happens. Crystal,
Yes.
I might suggest your dais knows the map of Dania Beach probably better than anybody. Why don't you just go ahead with the report? I'm sure if you provide the addresses, they'll be able to understand where it's at.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, so again, they had their ribbon cutting on February 12th. When I spoke with the owner, I asked him why Dania Beach. That's always the first question that I always start with every business. I feel like it's really helpful that we know, and then it also incentivizes others who are considering opening their business here with the city. And he said that he actually just came by to visit. Pick up something at the antique shop, and he saw a sign that said for rent. So he went in and he peeped in and he checked it out and he said, I could do this. But one of the biggest selling points to him is the proximity to FLL and Port Everglades. He really wanted to capitalize on tourists coming in and tourists going out. And he said that his little machine, the Square, where he does his transactions, he's able to collect data from it. And in looking at the data, he was able to collect that 40% of his customers are repeat customers, but 60% of his customers are new customers. So what that's telling us is that we are really capitalizing on the tourists that are coming in. And he really goes a step further and he actually looks at the cruise schedule. And that's when he goes out there and he hits the pavement and he promotes his business. While I was sitting there having this interview with him, there was a lot of activity coming in through the front door, the back door. His phone was ringing. So he said, can you hang out here every day? You're my good luck charm. It's been really, really busy today. I said, sorry, I can't do that. But it was really nice to see his business thriving, even at such a, there's so many statistics on business not being able to survive in the early years, but he seems to be doing really, really well. And a lot of that has to do with his customer base and how friendly he is with everyone. As you know, I always try to conclude every visit by asking the business what their challenges, whether we're able to address them or not is not a matter for the board, but I at least like to bring that forward. For him, he said that his major challenge for his business is limited parking. He said that he misses the days when there used to be metered parking out front. He said that he wished that customers could just kind of pop in from the front door access, but again, because of the way it's set up, he's unable to do so. The second business that I visited, so basically I visited with every business on that block. I visited with the Sherwin-Williams business. The reason that they chose Dania Beach is because of their proximity to Home Depot. They always try to find a location that's within, X amount of miles of a Home Depot. And the reason for that is because they try to capitalize on anyone doing DIY projects or home projects. They have really been a staple in the community because they also are the preferred choice of paint for all our local parks that we have here. So they said all the residences that are going up, they are really, really happy to see that because everyone that's moving in and wants to do any type of DIY project are coming to Sherwin-Williams. They said that the biggest challenge that they're experiencing as a business is parking. They said as far as their parking is concerned, they do have signs outside where they're telling, it's designated for Sherwin-Williams, but what they're seeing is that a lot of people are using that parking spot to basically walk over to Jackson's Ice Cream. So they're not really seeing people coming by and utilizing that space the way it's intended to. We're just going to move forward without it. But one of the biggest things that I wanted to show is, in addition to that challenge that they're having, and I should mention that in our last report, the consistent takeaway that we saw as we were closer to City Hall was the biggest challenge was the homeless community. We're actually seeing less of that as we're moving further away. So I do want to highlight that. It's there, but they're not really bothered by it. The guy at the vape shop says that he keeps food in his bottom shelf for the homeless individual with the dog. Sherwin-Williams says that they have free coffee. They offer a coffee. So we're seeing that kind of attitude shifting as we're getting further and further away. We do have, again, the difficulty with the designated parking. And they also said that because the roadway is so narrow to the back of the store, the challenges that they're having is when the loading truck comes to bring their paint, they're also seeing that issue as well. As we move further down in that alleyway, I met with a gentleman over at Abbott Tiles, and he said, Tags, I'm sorry. And he said that the biggest challenge that he's experiencing as a business is the ability to have visibility from the street. So I wanted to just take you, and I know you're familiar with the area, but again, for public consumption, for those who are tuning in and may not know, even myself being a new employee, I think it's important to have the visuals. So this business back here, he's asking, if for city's assistance, if he can get some type of support as far as showing signage back here, because he's not able to capitalize on the heavy traffic that's coming out of Federal, and that's something that he would really like to see. He took matters into his own hands and he put out a sandwich board out here, but he said that the city made him remove it. But there's absolutely no signage or ability for him to have signage from Federal. So that's something that he said that if he was to have, it would make him a really happy business owner. But other than that, his business is thriving. He chose Dania Beach because there's less competition in the area. He said, and the friendly attitude of everyone around here. But again, he's also experiencing limited parking, but his biggest issue right now is signage. I also met with the owners of Retroitis. He chose here because he wanted to be closer to entertainment. He wanted to capitalize on the tourists walking up and down Federal looking for something fun to do. His long-term dream is, he said, that if there was more capital in the area, that he would like to open more business that support entertainment in the area. His challenge that he's experiencing is that he recently received a notice of violation from the city. And the notice of a violation that he's experiencing is for exactly the reason that we're seeing in this photo, and that is hurricane shutters. So he feels that his inventory is so unique and so precious that he does not want to make it available when he or accessible when his business is not open. So he puts up shutters. He's done his part as far as putting signs out on the outside of the shutters to show that his business time and hours. But he keeps getting the notice of violation to not put up the shutters. So from the city's position of not wanting the business to look like it's vacant and there's no business there, he says that that's just something that he wished he can have, is the ability to put up shutters when his business is not open. And he will do his part to make sure that there are signs to show that his business is active. As we move along, there is this space right now says for rent, but it actually is occupied. I wasn't able to, the couple times I went by, I wasn't able to meet with the owner, but there is a CBD shop or medical marijuana licensing office that just moved in there. I had a very delightful conversation with the owner of the Fish Grill. His interview with me was everything positive. He has really taken advantage of all the advantages that the CRA has offered, as well as the city. This is an individual who had only positive things to say. Again, he chose his business because of, not just because of its proximity to FLL and Port Everglades, but he wanted to be near the ocean. I mean, he's serving seafood after all. And he has no issues with parking because he says that when he was designing and choosing his business, part of his long-term business plan is that he wanted to cater for the expansion of his business, and therefore purposely chose a location where he can have ample parking as his business grew, which could support that. He also would like to thank the CRA for the facade grant, because again, he is a recipient of the facade grant, which enabled him to change, the paint, the landscaping. He said, "You guys came in at 19,000. I just had to put out like 8,000. Look at this wonderful building that I now have." So he was really, really happy to take advantage of that. Another thing that he has done is he has also done his own marketing and really pushed that. He went to all the local hotels and he offered all their hotel staff 25% off their bill. Anyone wants to come there and have lunch and you work in a local Dania Beach hotel, you're going to get 25% off your bill. He said prior to COVID, that used to be 50%. But because of the rising cost of goods, he's unable to do so. And I don't know if City of Dania Beach employees are aware, but City of Dania Beach employees also get 25% off their checks.
Call the HR director. That's great.
Yeah.
Right. So anyone who's employed with the City of Dania Beach, you come by, you show your badge, you get 25% off your bill. So here we have a gentleman that's planned for the future with parking. He's taking advantage of the CRA facade grant. He's offering marketing, bringing the community together by offering discount on the bill. And we went an even step further. I don't know if you recall, in my first meeting, we also had the summer youth employment program that we offered to our businesses. He's actually one of the only individuals to follow up, and I've since put him in touch with Career Source Broward, and he's actually going to be a host. which enables him to have a free intern, but also have support for his business. And I'm just going to, for the sake of time, just move things along, and I'm going to collectively say what the challenges are, the businesses as we move along.
Thank
I
you,
went
Crystal.
to, I will. I went to the realty. There was nobody there. Well, we caught up in the street afterwards. But as we move along, and we go over to where Tuscany Cafe is, the the gallery. Oh, and I met with the Dan Marino Foundation. They said that thank you very much. The only request that they have is they want to continue to do city collaboration because they want to make sure that their name is known in the city. Again, I met with the folks at the gallery picture framing, Akiba Auction Gallery, Tuscany Cafe, and I'm just going to collectively say what their challenges are. And Akiba Antiques. Collectively, they're happy, their business is thriving. However, their collective challenge is parking because they said on First Avenue, it's just the streets are lined with cars, lined with service trucks. And as the city grows and improves on bringing more activity to that avenue, they want to make sure that their parking situation is factored in because right now customers have nowhere to come in. Akiba is from Federal Highway. It looks like there's nobody there. But in actuality, they're not retail. They're just using that for warehouse and order online fulfillment. But sometimes they have customers that purchase online and they need to come by and pick up, and there's nowhere for them to park. The owner of Akiba Auction Gallery even expressed that sometimes parking becomes so bad that she has to send some of her customers to park in the parking garage over at City Hall. So that's another issue. So as we move away from this area, I just want to say we had a really fantastic sit down with the gentleman over at the Creative Workshop. It's such a rare gem in our back yard to have something so amazing. He just basically said that, 20 years ago, he took advantage of a dilapidated, rat-infested barn, and he today has such a thriving business. And his business is restoration and custom buildings of private cars cars for collectors, museums, and car events. And his clientele is all international. So if you look over there, it doesn't seem like much, but he draws a huge international clientele. His niche is not for everyone. And it's not just his customers, but it's also his employees as well. He cannot find people to work on that specialty car. So just say, for example, you have a car that was built in the 50s. There's no book, there's no equipment. So he has to basically go to different places internationally to find individuals with that niche. He has chimed that so much into the community that he also serves on boards as far as curriculum and offers scholarships to train individuals. And he also hosts a lot of black tie events for international clientele. They come into the city of Dania Beach for these type of events with these unique vintage cars that he's having. And just to close out my Bravo visits, just to overlap with Mike already said, is that we did meet with the casino. We asked them what their challenge was. They said that their challenge is volume. We recently also met with the Courtyard Marriott. They're not in the CRA, which is why they're not mentioned here, but we are responsive as a CRA. So they reached out to have a meeting. We did sit down with them and they said that their challenge also is volume. People come in for cruises and then they leave. What can we do to keep them here? So following that, immediately right thereafter, when we met with the casino and they said, our issue is volume. That's where the brain under Mr. Chen's leadership came together. If you're having a volume
Crystal,
issue,
if you could summarize and send us just a report of of all of the Bravo visits. I do appreciate that you have gone to so many businesses since you have from the last time, and it is very worthwhile what you're doing, your work, and what you're saying. It's just that we do need to move along. So if you could put that in a nice little report for us and send it, I would greatly appreciate it. But we are winding down.
and I appreciate that because I want to give you, which I'm trying to figure out too. If you guys need a full presentation, no, we're good. All right.
No, well, yeah,
So-
just a summary,
You're good.
just a summary. And I like the pictures, and it is helpful because I not only want to have your Bravo visits, but I want to look at the Bravo visits comprehensive wide, and over a few years, and I'm getting that information. So I would like to kind of look at some of the similarities between all of the businesses and see what we can do collectively. But thank you very much
Chair
for
Davis,
that.
thank you so much for that direction. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate your passion with that.
Thank you, guys.
Vice Chair.
Yeah. One thing about this, I'll make it short because I know we're out of time. a lot of this stuff is crossing over from the meetings that we have at our commission meeting. We are already working on the shutter situation. I don't know if you've told them that or not. Parking is a problem all over the city. It's not going to change. There's nowhere to go. That's why the city parking garage is there. And these people that chose these places, all they have to do is say there's a free parking garage 1 block from here. And in any city that has any kind of growth has to walk a block to get to the business. I sympathize with that because I know, being in business myself, sometimes my parking lot's full. I wish it was filled all the time, but it's not. But the thing is that they chose these places and they know what's going on before they do that. So, I mean, I don't know what they're looking for, but the guidance I would have given them is the two things: is that the shutters are already being worked on. Stay up with us and watch what's going on. And the second thing is the parking garage is available to your clients. When they call you or come in, give them something, tell them where it's at, and they won't have a problem with parking because we have a lot of empty parking spots over there. There's nothing you can do on the street to change it. It's just the way it is. So to give them false hope or anything, it's not going to be any benefit to them. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We are on to the consent agenda, which I was a little confused why items 5.3 and 4 are on the consent, because I believe that they deserve a little bit more discussion. Does the commission have any items they wish to pull from the consent agenda? Board Member Llewellyn?
I presume you're pulling 5.3 and 5.4?
Yes.
And I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of 5.3 and 5.4.
Thank you, Board Member Llewellyn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board Member Ramoli?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All right, so we will proceed. Eve, if you would please read item 5.3.
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the CRA of the City of Dania Beach transferring the CRA to be under the direction of the City Manager's Office, provided for conflicts and an effective date. This is an item that I asked to bring back to formalize your decision from the last meeting. As you know, you voted 3-2 to put the CRA under the direction of the city manager, and also this resolution confirms the request to the city commission, wearing your other hat, to allow the city manager to take on those responsibilities. To answer the question from the public, in practical application, all that is changing is that the person who would be the head of the department would be from the office of the city manager, and Mr. Chen would become a director. He is not losing his job. This is not, he's keeping the same salary, the same benefits overall. So the second item on the agenda is just changing his contract to reflect that his title would change. And that's really what the second item is doing. And then, of course, when it expires, he would be a director like any other director, and there is no employment agreement with directors.
But his title doesn't have to change. That would be a decision of the board.
No, it would have to change because the head of the department has to be the executive director.
Okay.
Under the state statute. Now, as far as CRA properties remain CRA properties. We don't have a TIF, which means the tax increment financing. So everything that's in the CRA budget is from the city commission. It's a line item in the city commission master budget, if you want to call it that. It has its own line items, but it's basically, this is the funds dedicated for CRA purposes. The CRA employees would remain CRA employees. We're not changing that. I think I've answered all the questions. And as far as the state, there's no issue because we already are operating much like that. We have an executive director. Our bylaws say that the executive director can be an employee of the city.
Okay, Board Member Ryan.
Thank you. Eve, I have a question. When it comes to hiring and firing the CRA director, is that still under the commission or is that going to the office of the manager?
It would go to the office of the manager. He would become like a director.
Okay.
Any further discussion from the board? I just had, I really would like to know, I mean, Eve, you answered I guess the technical questions of how the department would run, but, yeah, Board Member Ramoli brought this issue to the board. So I would just kind of like to know what the plan is as far as moving forward and what your expectations are as far as having the department under the city manager. office. Board Member Ramoli?
So the question's to me as
Well,
my
it's just
expectations?
as in, I mean, for everybody who voted for it.
Well, I think I
Because
made myself clear the last meeting that I think the expectation is that we would have the city and who the director would report to would be on a daily monitoring of that position and that department rather than us doing it once a month or at a sit down lunch individually with a director where you really can't talk to the rest of the board on those issues. In this way, I think it'd be more efficient to have all these issues brought up, whatever the issues are, whatever the directions are, on a daily basis, so that that we can monitor it more closely. Because, in my opinion, it's not worked over the past umpteen years. And I think that the effectiveness of what we have seen in the city has worked very effectively. And I think also the resources that the CRA would have open up significantly being underneath the city. So that is the reason why I'm bringing this forward. And I think that there's so many ups for this and very, very little downside to this. Nothing's really changing. No one's losing their jobs. Everyone is going to be doing the exact same thing, but it's going to be under a different direction. And it's going to be monitored, I think, a little bit more closely and being able to give more insight as to how the city and the CRA can work cohesively together rather than, and I think in the reports today, there's a good example of, and it's not your fault, Crystal, the city is already working on some things that Crystal brought up that she's heard from our businesses. If they were working under the city, that would have never come up. She would have known and she would have been informed of that information. And that's just a small thing. And again, it's not anybody's fault, but that's just the way we were set up.
thank you, Board Member Ramoli. I will move on to Board Member Llewellyn.
Yes, so I know you wanted to hear from each of us that voted in favor of this last time. And as I said the last time, and in conjunction with what Board Member Ramoli just said, a perfect example of it is tonight again, as with the last meeting. And again, Crystal is doing a fantastic job getting out there and meeting with our businesses and getting the information from them. But again, there are already resolutions in place or in process that the city is already working on. And another example, there was something else, the 25% off. That's something like the city manager said from the background over there, tell HR, because HR will get that information out to everybody. But because they're two separate entities completely, there is no communication that seems to be going on between the two, between the CRA and the city. And if the CRA is working under the city, there will be a lot more communication. Forcibly if necessary, because at least now they're in a situation where there will be meetings. There will be regular meetings that they have with the directors for each department, and be able to keep in touch with each other to know what's happening, to know that we're working on the shutters already, to know that HR can distribute that information, to know that the BSO is working on the homeless situation, to know what we're doing with regard to parking issues, all of that. And it's good to know what the challenges are, but there are resolutions that are in process. And identifying the challenges, great, but we need to find the resolutions. And I think the only way we're going to do that is if everybody's working together cohesively and consistently.
Thank you, Board Member Llewellyn. As Vice Chair, you want to weigh in on that?
They pretty much have summed it up. I just think that working together, I think we're just going to be more efficient. And I think a lot of the extra that the city offers, the opportunity for the CRA director to be able to move forward with all the tools that he has to work with would be just better for us. This is something that's different. I think that everybody's sometimes don't like change. I don't see. I mean, I would be upset if things were eliminating the department and we were eliminating the director and eliminating the help. I would be a little bit more upset with that. But I feel that making this change and just having the opportunity to work together, I think it's just going to make us a better city. I think you're going to find that the CRA is going to be able to provide more to the businesses that are out there and other things that he brings up. Nothing's going to change. I would just think that it's going to work really strong. So I just think it'd be an opportunity for us to give it a shot and go for it, and hopefully it'll work out and make us a better place.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Board Member Ryan.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy we're having a discussion about this. When this was brought up last meeting, it was kind of off guard. We didn't really have much time to discuss it. And now again, this meeting started at 6. I don't know why. It should have been a 5:30 meeting. This is a rather large agenda. And when it was brought up last meeting, it really didn't have much background to it. We didn't even know if the city even wanted that to happen. There was no really plan. And now we have this plan, and I'm all for us collaborating, but our job as commissioners is supposed to communicate with the CRA, between the CRA and the city commission. It's not like a competition against one or the other. Oh, this is not in CRA territory and this city commission. It's our job to deal with both directors. So now when we put this under the city manager director, we don't even have any say who's going to be our CRA director, who we're going to work with directly. And I'm not comfortable with those decisions going in the city manager's office. Our city manager does a fantastic job. The office does a fantastic job, but I feel it is necessary to have a separate CRA from a city management, because now we're taking away our ability to choose the direction that we want the CRA in. And I know we have control of the city manager's office, but also that could open a can of worms there. So we have a problem with the city manager's office and what they did in the CRA, and then, then we discuss contracts then. And I feel like the CRA is they're taking leaps and bounds over the last several months, and we could see that improvement. And I'm not for this. I think this should be a 4-1 vote personally, but this only has to be a 3-2 vote, right, Eve? Yeah, for something this drastic,
Correct.
this big, I think it should be 4-1 vote. But that's where I stand, and I wish we had more time to discuss this. If we need more time, I'd make a motion for more time, but that's basically what we've talked about this at length before, and I appreciate you hearing my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ryan. I do agree with you 100% on that. What it sounds like is it's a communication issue, and we can always improve communication between the CRA and the city. I do believe that it is our job, that the people and the residents of Dania Beach elected the city officials to provide the direction, to provide the communication to, and provide the vision for the CRA as well as for the city. And the city manager does a fantastic job with the city. And I believe, and I can see the difference now with Michael's staff and Denise and Crystal, and having a team that he can work with to actually go out and make these Bravo visits, that it would only be going in a positive direction in that way. And for me, oversight is just a synonym for micromanagement. And I don't believe that you hire somebody and then put them in a micromanagement type of position where their job is, determined by one other person. And so I believe that we were elected to do that job. I also have concerns that another department under the city manager's office is a lot. It's not just having 1 or 2 employees, but it is a cumbersome position. I still have initiatives and events and things that were from the previous fiscal year that have not been addressed from the previous fiscal year and budgeted for the previous fiscal year that I'm looking to see get done in this fiscal year. And so to add another department is to add a whole other set of employees and department under the city manager's office. And I just think that you have to take care of one thing before you start to add more to your plate, and make sure that the things that you have on your plate are taken care of before you add more. And so with that, those are the comments that I have. And City Clerk, if you just go ahead and call that to a vote. Thank you.
I don't believe I actually
Oh,
had a motion.
Sorry. Do I have a motion? Board Member Ramoli?
Okay, I'll make a motion to move the items 5.3 and 5.4. Can I do both?
Sure.
Do you want to have separate discussion on 4?
Well, unless
If you
the
said
board
legally,
does.
then it has to be. Then I mean that's what I just wanted to reiterate, that legally that he cannot retain his
You need
title as an executive director.
The executive director runs the CRA, so it would have to be a change under 163.
And just to clarify too, Attorney Eve, is we're not eliminating the CRA board. We're still going to have meetings
Yes.
as a CRA board, and there will still be oversight as to our role as elected officials for the CRA. The only difference is going to be that this is going to have more opportunity to have daily oversight of the CRA rather than monthly oversight. So I'd like to move the item.
Just move the item 5.3. Let's do a separate vote on
Okay.
item 5.4.
So I have a motion from Board Member Ramoli, and do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Board Member Llewellyn. City Clerk, just a second. Would you please call it to a vote?
Chair Davis,
No.
Vice Chair Salvino,
Sorry.
Yes.
Board Member Llewellyn,
Yes.
Board Member Ramoli,
Yes.
Board Member Ryan,
No.
Mayor the motion. I'm sorry, Mayor Davis.
Thank you, City Clerk. The motion passes 3-2. Thank you, Board. And then we will move on to
5.4, I'll read the item.
5.4, yeah.
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the CRA of the City of Dania Beach authorizing the City Commission to enter into an amendment to the employment agreement for Michael Chen, providing for conflicts and effective date. So again, this changes it basically all the way through wherever it says Executive Director, it's changed to Director. None of his responsibilities have changed. Understand the only thing that I've really heard from Mr. Chen is he would still like to have a contract afterwards, but we have no contracts for directors under the City Commission. Okay?
Thank you for the clarification. Eve, do I have a motion? Motion from Board Member Llewellyn.
Motion to approve 5.4.
Do I have a second? Board Member Ramoli.
Yes. Second.
Have a motion and a second. City Clerk, would you please call it to a vote?
Yes, and I apologize. I did the motion out of vote on that. I did it out of order on the first motion. I apologize.
Okay.
Board Member Llewellyn.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Board Member Ramoli,
Yes.
Board Member Ryan,
Yes, obviously.
Vice Chair Salvino,
Hold on, you're coming.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chair Davis.
Yes.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, City Clerk. And the motion passes, and we are on to bids and proposals at 6:58. There are none, so we will move on to item 7,